Mom.
Mommy.
I'm living my research right now because, I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. I'm fortunate to have a really wonderful co-parent. And so we share the parenting and the schooling and the care for our children evenly in our house. But it means that she and I both work very bizarre hours and we're working around the clock, and our children have very little socialization available to them beyond this delightful pod that we've been able to enter into with another family, and that does provide some socialization and childcare sharing, but it's been a really tough negotiation. One of the things that the pandemic has exacerbated and kind of made visible on some level is that, the US, regardless of whether motherhood is something that is promoted or pathologized, it's completely unsupported. The sociologist Jessica Calarco talks about how other countries have social safety nets and the US has women.
I think I was kind of naive whenever I first gave birth. I thought that I could have it all, right? I thought that I could work the full-time job of my dreams and do really well at that, but also, make the organic food for my son and breastfeed for 2 years and, and do all the things that in my mind the ideal mother did. And I learned very quickly that that's just not realistic. At least for me, it's not realistic. There were responsibilities and conflicts that my husband and I had to address and negotiate all over again, because we had to figure out what our new roles were during the pandemic. I found there were a lot of times in the beginning where I found myself as the default parent, and having to have those conversations again to sort of recalibrate, who's doing what when and whose job gets prioritized when. And he deserves a ton of credit as a dad. He's a wonderful father. But I think that, just gender socialization does place women in a role where they are primary caretakers. And that's not a role that is ideal for me. Good parenting can look a million different ways, and none of them could be even remotely similar. But to say that, I think that good parenting means that you are present with your child. And it's a constant struggle to be present, right? Like, especially when we're in a time where the last thing you want to do is be present.
I work very hard to be a good mom. And I would say that the thing that brings me primary joy in life is my professional aspirations. I never aspired to be a stay-at-home mom. I never aspired to be someone who was basically trapped in her home for a year with 2 children while juggling childcare, a full-time job, and then all of the other crises that seemed to come up during COVID, including my own mental health. Mannix is 4 and Silas is 7. Their dad, my co-parent, also lives in Iowa City, and we split custody 50-50. I really lost the ability to function. Like, I couldn't work because I was just in shock and just grief-ridden and the most depressed that I've ever been. And then, it's like that fog didn't begin dissipating until the last couple of months when they've been able to go back to school.
Ready? Come sit, guys.
Animals.
See number 3.
A habit is a place where plants and animals live.
I took this year off from teaching. I think this would have been my 13th year of teaching, first grade. The hardest part of making this decision of not going back to school this year was knowing that I essentially gave up my spot at my school. I remember calling my principal, bawling to him, saying, I can't believe I'm doing this. But I did it. And again, no regrets. Would do it again if I had to. I've loved my time as a stay-at-home mom, but I don't know if I could do this continuously.
Come on, play with Jules, okay? Listen, sit down. Put your Chromebook on, lady. Dee, are you gonna sit? Where are you going?
Coronavirus is around.
That's exactly right.
It's so funny the stuff like you learn to appreciate differently, you know? Lots of people interrupt my showers, but when they do, like, that's why I'm like, can I not just get 10 minutes in here alone? Like, did you need to come and tell me that you pinched your finger or whatever it might be? Yeah. All right. Need something fun to do, something to distract us outside. So, hey, Dean, Bridget. I think for our family, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, was scary, very scary. We were expecting a baby. So there was a lot of uncertainty at that point about how was this virus transferred, and especially what were the risks to someone expecting a baby or a newborn baby, knowing that that was impending for us. We were starting to hear these horror stories about people whose spouse wasn't allowed in the delivery room. My mom happened to have come in town to help me prep, wash some baby clothes and put up a crib. And she got stuck here because that's when they really closed things down. So she came with a bag for 4 days, expecting to stay for a couple days and then go home until the baby was born. And she ended up staying. She was here for like 6 weeks. So once he arrived, we discovered he had some unexpected health challenges. He was born without one of his eyelids, which none of us were obviously expecting. And we were very grateful, especially at that point, to have her, and my dad had come up at that point. By choice, we set up our marriage to work this way so that I could be home with our children for this period. And both of us grew up with a mom who spent some time just raising us, and we felt like that had an impact on the people that we became, and we wanted to offer that to our children as well. So.
We live in a hyper-individualist society. And you know, I think one of the things that the pandemic hopefully is inviting people to see is how desperately we all need each other.